all debts they will all pay.
We'll hear from the Energy Minister, local authorities, and bring you a special report on the eminent employee layoffs and shutdown of businesses in the area.
We have to lay off workers. We don't have option. Once they will be there doing nothing. It's better we shut down. That one, definitely. Tomorrow we will have a meeting on that. Definitely, we cannot waste time. You cannot be buying 3,500 fuel a day, and you will still operating with one customer, two customers.
Also in this package, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission concludes modalities for the payment of cost of living allowance to public sector workers, but it's unclear when exactly the money will hit the accounts.
Realizing the money in your pocket, you're working on the schedule, and I'm sure maybe in about 2 weeks to 3 weeks time, government will come up public with the exact date that you have it in your pocket, but it will be very soon.
We'll hear more from the Commission as they sign a pact with intrastate organizations to reduce payroll fraud later, despite President Akufo-Addo's Parliament intervention to stop the abuse of persons suspected to be practicing witchcraft. An old lady is battling for her life following attacks on her.
My old ladies are tired. They're tired. People are still beating them everywhere. One woman is almost even dead. I sent her to the hospital 3 days ago.
3 MPs are sponsoring a private member's bill to criminalize the act. We'll hear from them coming up
There
in
will be
sports.
a total
Ghana long
prohibition
jumper. Ghana long jumper Deborah Aqua is skeptical about the chances at this year's Commonwealth Games after receiving a visa only 48 hours to her event.
And later here on the Midday News, man who used ice packs to preserve body of his wife has been found dead in the washroom.
The odor is not the best. The man put an ice pack on the woman on the floor.
We have details as police rescue the unconscious children locked up in the room with the bodies for months. We have details of these stories here on the Midday News. Hello again, my name is Ernest. Manu. Thanks for choosing us. This is the home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, there's a desperate effort to avert a full-blown security crisis in the Yilo and Manya-Krobo municipalities of the eastern region as the ECG's community-wide power cut enters day 7. The local economy has been on its knees, with residents saying they can no longer bear the impact of the situation. Hospitals in the area have been stretched beyond their limits, with the Public Utility Workers Union warning its members within the ECG to avoid the place. We have an update on the situation on the ground for you shortly, but first, my colleague Manu reports businesses are already laying off workers with considerations of shutting down.
The sounds of vehicles meandering through the darkness on the main Somanya Road. It's been exactly a week since the street lights and other electricity-powered systems went off in the entire town.
By this time, stores would have still been open. This is a stretch from the municipal assembly to Somanya to Sra, and then to Somanya former runabout. It's a busy area, but because the lights are off, the stores have closed. And the sad aspect is that because thieves have seen that the light is not coming now, they are stealing the electricity cable.
Drivers only see by the help of car headlights, casting few yards ahead of them. The only lit building on the road is the G-Unit Plus Hotel. The huge edifice houses a pub, restaurant, nightclub and hotel. Eric Tekwete is owner of the place.
It's not fair. It's not fair at all because for me, I have my prepaid meter. So I don't see the reason why you should punish me because of the other customers. Because me, you gave me, I accept it. And I'm paying it. I'm buying the prepaid. As I'm talking to you now, I just bought 1,000 Ghana City prepaid because I have like 7 meters. Before the light went off. When I want to, what am I going to do with the current that I have?
Eric's business has been badly hit by the power cuts in the area. He now depends on a 150 kilovolt plant to keep the place running.
For it's our rooms, we have suites, then the standard and the local ones. All depends on, we use TV, ACs. So with that one, we have to use the light to power them. So for now, we are depending on the plant, which is that one is another issue altogether.
Eric says this is not sustainable. He is considering laying off some of his workers or shutting down the business altogether.
We have to lay off workers. We don't have option. Otherwise, they will be there doing nothing. And we cannot be owning the plant from day to night. We can't. You cannot deny the customer his right. He pay for the service. So you cannot say because of 2 customers I cannot own the plant. That means I'm being unfair. And as a businessman, I have to make sure my customer have the best service so that next time he or she will come here. You cannot be wasting fuel without getting anything. It's better we shut down. That one there, definitely. Tomorrow we will have a meeting on that. Definitely, we cannot waste time. You cannot be buying 3,500 fuel a day and you will still operating with 1 customer, 2 customers. Because normally we will have visitors because of where we are located. We have visitors more than the town people. So if there's no lights, they cannot work in the town before they will come and rent a hotel.
Now, the once very busy stretch that links the Yilo Kojo Municipal Assembly to the Somanya roundabout is now close to dead. Shops closed, lights off, restaurants closed, and even the fuel station behind me, well, it's just as dead as the community is fast becoming. The members here say they want immediate government attention in restoring the electricity to the township. From here at Somanya, my name is Manu reporting for Joy News.
Well, the Municipal Health Director for Yilo Kojo, Irina Ofer, says hospitals within the enclave have reached their limits.
Yes, unfortunately for Somanya Polyclinic, they don't even have a generator set. So they have to hire on daily basis, pay hiring fee, and at the same time buy the fuel into generators.
Right,
so the running cost of generators for a week is having a toll on financial toll on our health facilities.
Well, Chairman of the Eastern Region Security Council, Seth Champon, tells Shaw News the situation is assuming a security dimension and must be addressed without any further delay.
When we go begging the service provider, for instance, as I sit here as a chairperson to the Regional Security Council, what are my worries? My worries are providing over and above security for state installation, because information we are picking from the ground points to the fact that people may vandalize state property. It has happened in the neighborhood before. In times past, the service provider's customer service center was vandalized, and then they had to relocate the service customer center to the voting region, which is Strapon. So we had to sit to the service provider and encourage them. This is the reasons why we find the security personnel aiding the service provider to install the prepaid meter. Even in this era, people are still pelting them with stones.
But the Energy Minister, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, says efforts are currently underway to get power restored. He spoke on Peace FM's Kokoroko.
Na udi usika besu da uchia. Nemo ekade da ho dada no. I don't the active committee so many ECG for court trust. No mu hwese de kado. Ye be na eko yedim no. Ekano for 8 years no.
We have set up a committee to recommend modalities on how the customers there will settle the old debts. But as we move forward, we have asked the chiefs to engage the people and assure us the ECG officials will not be attacked. Then they can go there and reconnect them to the national grid. As for the old debts, they will all pay.
And I'm Obi Drinka say we use electricity don't try. So what try e be ababi o wabuchi be try ba. Ono so obi o be try ba. The kind party e be try.
Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh there. This afternoon, John uses learning of heightened engagement among municipal authorities, local chiefs and the youth in the area to avert any more disturbances. Simon Teta is the Municipal Chief Executive for Lower Manya and he joins us on the line. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on the Midday News. So we are learning of this crucial meeting with the chiefs. Can you share the outcome with us? Hello, Mr. Teta, can you hear me? Mr. Tete, well, it appears that he cannot hear us. Let's work the lines again to have the Municipal Chief Executive for Lower Manya, Simon Tete, join us on the line to bring us up to speed with a crucial engagement that we are learning of between the authorities, the local chiefs, and the youth of the area. Mr. Tete, if you can hear me now, kindly bring us up to speed with that meeting that has ended, we understand, with the local chiefs and the youth of the area to avert any more disturbances. Not to have the attention of Simon Tete there. Once we do, we'll bring you that interview and bring you up to speed with the situation. Let's do some other stories now. The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission says it has successfully completed drafting modalities for the payment of cost of living allowance (COLA) for all public sector workers. Demands for COLA resulted in weeks of labor agitation and industrial action, leaving government to commit to paying workers 15% of their salaries. Mr. Arthur has been speaking to Joy News on the sidelines of a signing of an MOU signing with the Internal Audit Agency to check payroll fraud.
Internal Audit Agency has units in almost all the public sector institutions, so we're collaborating with them for them to share relevant information with us, for us to do same. And not only that, anytime they are able to discover anomalies, especially as to the sources of pay structure and who has mandated what, we should be able to share relevant information and take the appropriate action. We are doing this to serve Mother Ghana and to ensure that we'll be able to protect the public purse.
And the biggest issue when you talk about payroll mostly has to do with people talking about payroll fraud and ghost names on payroll and all those things. Are those things that we can practically expect some changes to be made to us in terms of this particular?
We admit there are times that we detect ghost names, but working together, such as we have agreed to do, will go a long way to eliminating ghost workers on government payroll. With a frequent monitoring, I'm sure that we'll be able to undertake this exercise effectively.
I mean, quite recently, we know the Commission has been intervening in some labor issues, the COLA and all those issues. What's the latest on that?
The latest is that agreement still stands, and we are certain that government will implement it. So nobody should have doubts.
When can workers expect the monies to hit their accounts?
As soon as possible. We will communicate to you later on this, but we promise that it will be effective from July. Effective means that is when the implementation starts. Realizing the money in your pocket, we are working on the schedule, and I'm sure maybe in about 2 weeks to 3 weeks time, government will come up public with the exact date that you have it in your pocket.
And you have Ben Arthur. He is the CEO of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Some liquefied petroleum gas users in Kumasi say they'll be buying food from the street and revert to using charcoal as they struggle to get domestic fuel. The gas shortage is an effect from a sit-down strike by LPG tanker drivers and Marketers Association, who are demanding government lift the ban on the establishment of new fuel stations. They are also asking for the review of a tracking system on the transportation of gas by the National Petroleum Authority. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reports the situation has left many LPG users who visited gas filling stations stranded.
Stranded in a quest to refill her 6-kilogram gas container, Ya Ajapon has been searching all morning for a gas outlet to access LPG for domestic use. From Ashtown to Angloga, all the pump stations she has visited remain closed. With LPG being her only fuel source, she says she will resort to buying food from the streets until she gets gas to refill her container.
The gates have been closed. There's no one there. I always use gas. I don't have coal. I don't even know what to do. I will be buying food outside.
Her situation is no different from many other LPG users, including commercial drivers who trooped to various gas stations. Simon Mensah, a commercial driver, says the shortage will affect his trips, ultimately biting hard on his daily sales. I have no option. Gas is what my vehicle functions with. After this trip, I won't be going again. The gas is about finishing. I won't be working until I get gas.
Emmanuel Bright-Kweku filed that report, while the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, has been assuring without any timeline that the ban on the establishment of new service stations will be reviewed to get the LPG tanker drivers and the marketers back to work. But before we hear from him, here's the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinaport, describing the policy as a bad one.
Meanwhile, like they said, we've engaged them. The Mines and Energy Committee met the LPG Association, met the tanker drivers, and even you ought to look at the information available. Banks are chasing them through no fault of theirs. Meanwhile, your cylinder recirculation is not coming on. So we have issued a statement calling on government as a matter of urgency. And I mean this week, before the end of the week, government must review that policy, put in place the necessary safety measures, and work on the over 120 gas filling stations that can potentially deliver gas.
We can now listen to the Energy Minister hinting government will consider reviewing the policy to make the new stations exchange points.
The major show was a baby and will be a bagana.
Government will reconsider and lift the ban on some of those gas stations. Indeed, with the arrangements on cylinder recirculation, those gas stations will be used as exchange points. It's a good reason to now lift the ban.
License beer. Cylinder recirculation start here. Over serve as cylinder exchange points.
Exchange points.
In so doing, we should say MPs will do but a good enough reason. A Bible so a reason.
Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh there. Violence against women in connection to witchcraft continues to rise in the northeast region despite President Akufo-Addo's intervention to end the menace. The president in February this year sent a delegation to the region led by his special advisor on gender and development, Angela Sante, after a Joy News report exposed how 2 women from the Mamprusi East community had been accused of witchcraft and subjected to severe torture by a Togolese priest. However, authorities at the Gambaga witch camp say nothing has changed from the visit of the presidential delegation. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko reports.
3 months earlier, more than 20 women from the town of Nakpanduri had been held in the camp and tortured over similar allegations. The incident, which occurred in February this year and was reported by Joy News, attracted the attention of President Akufo-Addo and provoked him to immediately react by dispatching a delegation under his special advisor on gender and development to meet with the regional stakeholders to convey his anger and demand a lasting solution to the heinous practice. The fact-finding delegation in the region held separate meetings with the Regional Security Council. Following that meeting, the overlord and president of the House of Chiefs said this during a House of Chiefs meeting in March.
I wish to serve a caution to some of our so-called pastors and madams who have become recalcitrant and have made it a business by identifying witches and wizards and also make them tin gods without recourse to the laws of the country.
In the same month, during the Independence Day celebration, the chairman of the Security Council and the regional minister also issued a warning to deal with the perpetrators of the practice. However, according to authorities of the Gambaga witch camp, the practice has shown no sign of improvement. Samson Lare is the coordinator of the camp.
Actually, there has been an increase after the visit of the Parliamentary Select Committee. We are really I don't know what to say, but we are surprised. Just of recent, we have recorded 6 women and 1 man again, just for some few days. And this is really alarming.
Ilyasu Tanko filed that report. Now, 3 members of parliament have filed a private member's bill to criminalize the practice and have attackers punished, while East MP Godfred Seidu Chisau is one of them.
That once we go through the process and this offenses, the criminal offenses bill is in place and passed in law, we should be able to achieve a number of objectives. One of them is that there will be a total prohibition of witchcraft practices in Ghana.
You had the Wa East MP Godfred Seidu-Gisao speaking on that private member's bill. We're taking a break here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. When we return, we'll bring you this bizarre story of a man who used ice packs to preserve the body of his wife and found dead later in a washroom.
The odor is not the best. The man put an ice pack on the woman on the floor.
Yama Wakwaba, ba Akwaba Magic Busia, brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Chiao, Ewo DSTV channel 149, and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Akwaba Magic Busia, Eddie Nidia Ghanaian programs mu Baufi, a bit to set the day, to have and to hold, and Yom Senior Cassia, series and a talk show, Bemoaka TV sets Nichi, Akwaba Magic Busia, Ewo DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cities per and Go TV value to your 25 Ghana cities per Ebusia Akwaba.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Ernest. Manu. It's now time for sports, and Razak is here with the very latest.
Yes, Ernest, Ghana's long jumper Deborah Aqua has shared her disappointment with the late arrival of a visa for the ongoing Commonwealth Games and is skeptical about her chances in the event. Aqua, who is the national record holder in the event, received a visa only last night and was scheduled for a 23-hour journey that includes an 8-hour layover in Dallas FT Worth International Airport, 48 hours before her event.
Okay, so like I always say, it's a very good feeling and an honor to represent your country on the platforms, you know. But to have received my visa this late and traveling for a long distance and competing maybe on the next day, it's really a worry. We all know like how it has affected a lot of athletes. So I won't use this as an excuse to not perform though, but I'm just saying, you know, different from the rest of the athletes that kind of had a bad day or a bad competition due to long travel. But I'll do what I can, you know. Like I said, I won't use this as an excuse to not perform. So because I'm a different type of person, and maybe I might be able to endure. I might be able to manage, you know. So I think I'll be good. Thank you.
Well, that's Deborah Aqua speaking there. Meanwhile, former boxing world champion Isaac Dogbe has arrived home from his U.S. base after his recent victory in the final world title eliminator. He was met on arrival by the presidents of the Ghana Boxing Authority, representatives of his sponsors, Nish Koko, his church, ARS, and the Youth and Sports Ministry. More on this in our subsequent bulletins. For more sports, my Joe Online.
Thank you very much, Razak, for bringing us the latest in sports. Now, police at Ibuakwa in the Ashanti region are looking into the strange circumstances leading to a man preserving the body of his wife with ice for several months. The man's own body was also discovered by police in the family's bathroom, sitting on the toilet. 2 children of the couple, aged 11 and 13, were also rescued in an unconscious state. Ohim Interior of our security desk has the rest of the story.
The Jacksons, a well-to-do family, lived in a rented apartment at Malkro Plot 10 after the family relocated from the Netherlands about 7 years ago. They never socialized with other residents as they live independently. But after several months of not hearing nor seeing the Jacksons, the live-in neighbors lodged a complaint with the Ibuakwa police. The bodies of the couple were discovered in a decomposing state. Their 2 children were also found in unconscious state. They were locked up without food and water in that 2-bedroom apartment for days with the decomposing bodies of their dead parents. The traumatized children of the deceased are currently on admission at the Ibuakwa Polyclinic. Dr. Mensa Manye is medical superintendent.
It was a long month of traumatization. They were locked up in a room. The extent of the decomposition and the odor is not the best. The man put an ice pack on the woman on the floor, and he himself died in the washroom whilst going to toilet. The children as a whole, they were brought in unconscious, very weak, very, very dehydrated.
Police say it has been difficult connecting with the families of the deceased. The children have been referred to the Social Welfare Department. Meanwhile, Dr. Manye is recommending psychotherapy support for the children.
The elderly one could not still talk well. I don't know if it's because of the trauma. Maybe psychologists may come in before they can get out of that situation.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oyinminteria reporting.
The Mental Health Authority says unless MMDCEs comply with the Mental Health Act, which requires them to make available budgetary allocation for the care of mentally challenged persons in their jurisdiction, such persons will continue to remain on the streets. This comes as some members of the public raise safety concerns following the stoning to death of a 25-year-old man by a mentally ill woman in her mid-30s. But for the timely intervention of the Nima police, the suspect would have been lynched by the mob at the Circle Interchange. Mark Solabra was there and now reports.
Some of the people we've been speaking to here tell us that before that particular incident, they had lived harmoniously with people they consider as mentally challenged here within this enclave. They say that Monday's incident is a rude awakening, that they are sitting very close and mingling with a ticking time bomb.
The time that he hit you with the stone, he died at once. He bashed his eye. So he sent all the mad people to the hospital where they heal the people to treat them well.
Maxwell with that report. Meanwhile, the Nima police has referred her, the mentally ill woman, to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital for assessment. Meanwhile, head of communications at the Mental Health Authority, Kweku Brobe, says compliance and availability of needed resources are essential to deal with the situation.
We do have a lot of people roaming our streets. I mean, persons with mental illnesses roaming our streets because we have not complied with the dictates of the Mental Health Act. So Section 73 of the Mental Health Act tells us that, I mean, it is the responsibility of the municipal and then metropolitan district assembly to make budgetary allocations to cater for persons with mental illnesses within that jurisdiction. This has not been complied with.
Kweku Robe's head of communications at the Mental Health Authority. President Akufo-Addo is commissioning the refurbished Sunyani Airport in the Bono region. The facility was closed down 7 years ago after it was declared unfit to receive aircrafts. Now, after months of work, the airport is now ready for operations. We can listen to the Bono Regional Minister, Justina Owusu-Banahene.
Clearly, this event has proved the doubting Thomases and skeptics wrong. It is a demonstration that His Excellency the President is decisive, action-driven, and above all, concerned about the well-being of our people. And I recall very fondly His Excellency the President's meeting with the leadership of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs at the Jubilee House, where Mr. President promised that he will personally come to Sunyani in September to commission the airport. And here we are, a month ahead of schedule, with Mr. President staying true to his word. I must say that this is so just a tip of the iceberg.
Bono Regional Minister Justina Owusu-Banahene there ending the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. Our top story this hour: there's a desperate effort to avert a full-blown security crisis in the Yellow and Manyakrobo municipalities of the eastern region as the ECG's community-wide power cuts enters day 7. You can find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm